Hey, welcome. This is Rick Price with Golf Arizona. I have with me my good friend Gina today. We're going to do a series of videos in regards to a new golfer to the game. So, Gina, tell us a little bit about your experience with golf.
Well, let's see. I grew up with a dad who is an avid golfer. And like we were talking about before, you know, when I was a little kid and I woke up on Saturday mornings, there was never a Saturday that my dad was home when I woke up in the morning. He was out, he was gone, and that's just where he was. Always golf, 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 golf. So as a kid, you know, when he wasn't out in his golf leagues and doing his Saturday morning golf with the same guys that he golfed with every single Saturday, rain or shine, he would take my sister and I out. And we would just do the little things. Yeah, I remember he would take his old golf clubs and he'd sand them down for us. So we had our own set of golf clubs.
And how old were you?
Oh goodness, I was probably 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And he would get us our pink and yellow golf balls, and we would go out and we would hit balls and do all the very, very basics. And we would get such a kick out of it. And it was never, you know, it was never something that we got into a weekly routine of doing. You know, like my dad who had been golfing his entire life. I think as a kid, it's very common to get involved in 8 million activities and you've got something going on every single day of the week. And one thing leads to another and then there's no time left in your schedule. And then all those little golf outings that my sister and I would have with my dad would kind of slowly make their way to the back burner. But you know, we were introduced to it at a really young age, and there were times where we would go out with him when he would golf and just get to ride along in the golf cart just to watch.
Now, did your mom play golf?
She didn't.
No.
And maybe, you know, with my sister and I being the girls, my mom didn't play golf, and you know, it never really became like a family outing.
Right.
But yeah, she never. I think she played a handful of times, but I never really remember them ever going out together and playing.
Right. So between being 7 or 8 years old and to today, how much golf did you play between that? So I mean, you're still basically brand new to the game, because I mean,
I'm a beginner as much as anybody else who's never really played before. You know, that was a long time ago. And yeah, getting older, there were so many things that I had the opportunity to be a part of: golf events, nonprofit events that were raising monies for great charities, or golf outings with coworkers. And I think as I got older, I looked at other people who golfed and it became a little intimidating. As a kid, everybody's kind of starting at square one.
Right.
But as you get older, you start to look at things and they become a little bit more intimidating. There's a way you have to look. There's a way you have to play. There's certain etiquette. And I think that as an adult, it sometimes gets a little scary because you think to yourself, oh my gosh, I'm so far behind. I'm just going to have to watch from the sidelines and cheer everybody on.
Well, it's like anything in life that you do, especially sports or golf. I mean, the most important thing is to, you know, do a little research and be prepared, just so nobody wants to be embarrassed or feel like a fool or, you know, do the wrong thing, because, you know, it's just, then it's not a real good experience. So I just wanted to tell you briefly my first introduction to the game. I was about 9 or 10 years old, and a buddy of mine and we were walking down, I don't even know where we were at. We were just out wandering around, as we do in a small town. I grew up in Lake Havasu City, you know, which is, I don't know if you've been there, but it's pretty small. At the time, I think they had a couple golf courses, and so we're walking down the street, and all of a sudden we see this green grass, and all of a sudden there's like golf balls like all over, or we didn't even know they were golf balls. There's just balls all over the place, and so we're like, well, they're just laying out here. So we start going down there and loading up our shirt. I got like, it's like it's better than Easter. I got like 50 golf balls in my shirt. Next thing you know, we hear people yelling at us and screaming at us and coming at us, and so we take off running. So unfortunately, that was my first experience in golf, not knowing anything, not even realizing it was a golf course, realizing that it was a practice facility, a driving range, that, hey, it's dangerous, it could be hit by a golf ball. I mean, they were probably more concerned about that than us taking the golf balls. But it was a kind of an odd introduction, but about at the same time, that's when my dad actually took me out on the golf course and introduced me to it. And so that was, so I was about 10 years old. So that was fun and exciting for me, something new. So
at that point, were you hooked, even as a kid?
You know, it's funny. I was thinking about it this morning. I don't remember really anything from about 10 to 13. in regards to how much I participated or played. I certainly didn't have, there was no junior programs or anything like that, or tournaments that I participated in, or anything with school at that time. But I remember it was when I was 13 years old, and I first got involved at the club there with junior golf lessons, and from that day I was hooked. I mean, it was, I think I didn't miss a day of practicing or playing for 6-7 years. I mean, I was hooked. And I remember the day I hit, there's always that one shot that kind of brings you back, that you remember, you know, that one shot I hit, the best shot of my life. I think that was in that 10 to 13 range. I was out at a little par 3 course with my dad and grandfather. And of course the hole was like 200 plus yards, par 3, kind of like that fish that was kind of this big. So I hit the best shot of my life with a 3-iron. I mean, most people don't even use 3-irons anymore, but I hit it, knocked it on the green, and I can still remember or feel that experience today. And so kind of at that point I was really hooked, and then I had an opportunity as I was older, and I just went with it.
So it's no surprise that you're in the industry that you're in today.
Well, it's funny, when I was 13 years old, I knew from that point I wanted to be a golf pro or a touring professional, and that's just what I was going to do. So I was pretty grounded in that respect, and knew what I wanted to do my entire life. So it kind of kept me out of trouble when other kids were doing things they probably shouldn't have been doing.
You had a goal, you had something to focus on, and a passion.
Yeah, and I was definitely passionate about it and enjoyed doing it. So it was great. Kept me entertained for a long time. Still does.
So I'm sure now, you know, as you've been in this business now for a while, you've seen lots of people come in my shoes, whether older or younger, that are a little bit intimidated by the whole concept of learning this new pastime. I don't know what it is about golf in particular that kind of scares people a little bit more than maybe some of the other activities.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, obviously, between the golf swing and just the knowledge of the game and the rules, and everyone thinks, well, you know, I got to do this, I got to know the rules, and I can't do this, I can't do that. There's a lot of can'ts feeling, I think, and you know, that's probably the biggest fear. I mean, you'd probably feel it or understand it more than I would, but that's at least my perception, is that there's just so many. Well, and then the biggest thing is, you know, time's a factor. I mean, it doesn't matter what is musical instrument, golf, it doesn't matter. Whenever you start something new, it takes time, and it takes financial resources to do certain things. And you know, I think time is a bigger factor than anything. But the great thing about golf is, you know, yeah, it does take a lot of time to go play golf. I mean, anywhere from 4 to 5 hours, depending where you play, then to get there and the whole thing. So basically you're eating up a whole day. But the fact is, you can just go out and hit a bucket of balls for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You can go to the putting green, chipping green for 10 minutes. Just to get out and participate and do it is the important thing. So.
And to continue doing. I know once you start anything like this, you gotta stick with it so you can improve.
Yeah, because you want to be able to.
Things.
Yeah, especially when you're taking a lesson here and there, you know, you want to kind of apply those and not forget, because we have a tendency to, you know, 2-3 weeks down the road can't remember anything. But,
right. Oh my gosh, that's definitely the truth, and that goes for anything when you're learning in the beginning. I think after the first lesson that we had a couple weeks ago, the thing that I walked away with was, you're not trying to accomplish the whole world and become a professional golfer on day one. So you're not trying to golf a perfect game with 18 holes. You have to start small. So you start from those little things so that you can feel like you are making ground, and that you are kind of learning certain tricks and rules and habits, good habits, because we started small and kind of worked our way up, and those basics that we started with from minute one took us right through those couple hours, and you just kind of have to build off of those things. You don't start riding a bike with 2 wheels as a little kid. You start small, and you start with 3 wheels, and then you go to training wheels, and you just can't let yourself get overwhelmed. And a basic, it's not just all about trying to take the club and just swing the ball. There's so many other things that you need to keep in mind, that once you get those things down, hitting the ball, definitely comes a lot more easy.
What was probably your biggest concern, or not necessarily fear, but what was the biggest thing that you were thinking about, or did you have any anxiety coming out since it's been a while, or what was?
This sounds ridiculous, but so basic. Just swinging and missing.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's seen it from the outside looking in. You know that feeling, and just kind of having a really ugly swing where the ball is not going to go anywhere that you are hoping that it goes.
Yeah.
That's a scary feeling, because
Yeah.
it really just, there it is. You just feel like, wow, that is a fail right there. But you know, you take a couple times, you go through some stuff, and you realize that that's not going to happen. You kind of build your confidence a little bit.
Yeah.
You start to feel a little bit better, and you realize that those things that you're thinking, and those, like I said, those different habits that you're starting to get in the habit of,
Right.
those things more often than not are going to help you do what you want to do, and not what you're trying to avoid.
Very good. So now that you've had kind of introduction back to the game, your first lesson, we're going to have obviously a few more, and we're going to discuss as we go along through the weeks as far as what you learn and still more questions you have. But at what point do you think you feel you'd be prepared to actually go on the golf course?
I think there's a point where any individual kind of knows, okay, I'm ready to take that next step. I think practice, in a setting, at least for me, where I have a one-on-one lesson and I really can ask the questions that I need to ask, and I can have someone telling me these are the things that you need to do to do better, or things that I need to tweak, so you can get the confidence down in those basics, that it's kind of like you're doing it without thinking. You know, you're doing it, you're in the habit of doing those things. I keep using the word habit, but how easy it is as an adult, if you've played golf a couple times, to go in with a lot of bad habits. So first you need to learn how to break all of those. And with lessons like this, I think once you get those staple techniques down, then you can take that next big leap.
That's good. Now, the most important thing to do when you're ready to go out to play your first round, or whether it's your friends, or you don't have to go play 18 holes. And the big thing is, learn the basic local rules of the golf course. Not necessarily the rules of golf, but just expectations that the club has of you in regards to, from, hey, do I have my own clubs? Do I rent clubs? What does that cost? How do I drive the cart, or where do I drive the cart? Can I drive on the green? Can I, I've seen it all over the years.
Yeah. Because it's not just affecting you, it's affecting other golfers.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing.
Is goes a long way.
The clubs want you out there to play if you're a new golfer. The golfers out there want new golfers, but unfortunately, there's a few things they don't have patience for, and that is pace of play. They want to make sure that you keep up with the group in front of you. So it's real important to make sure when it's your turn to hit that you go. You're not congregating around and having a little too much of a social. It's all about social, but making sure that you're playing when it's your turn to play, and just knowing the real basics as far as hey, where do I tee off between the markers, or in front of them, behind them, or what markers do I play from? I mean, because there's multiple, anything from play at forward tees for juniors to all the way back championship tees. So you the tees are based off of really your ability. It doesn't mean because you're a woman you have to play from a certain tee, or a man. I mean, some of the seniors need to be playing farther forward. They should be playing the forward tees just to enjoy the game more. And I mean, even as a professional, I don't necessarily want to play all the way back. I'd rather play up a little farther too, just to enjoy it a little bit more. Because that way, hopefully, I can score a little bit lower. So I don't want to go out there and shoot 80. And even though, to me, that might not be good, but 80s certainly would be a great score for a lot of people. But anyway, so just the big thing is just be prepared. Know a little bit about what's expected out of you, and the definitions of the game of golf and the rule book. that's a good place to kind of start and just kind of understand what it's all about. You don't have to play by the rules. I mean, you can tee it up in the middle of the fairway, or you can throw it out of a sand trap or a bunker, as it's officially called. It doesn't really matter. You just want to get out there, have fun, but just be aware of the people around you and enjoy yourself. So,
which leads me to a question. As a beginner, I think something that can be a little bit intimidating is if you're golfing with a group and they're good golfers, and your skill level is not where theirs is, you don't want to hold them back. So what rules can be broken in that sense, just because you don't want everyone waiting for you? You don't want a group that's behind you sitting there twiddling their thumbs because you are that one person that everyone's waiting on.
Well, if you're out there socially, if you're not playing actually in an event, you know what? You're out there to have fun. So hit a couple shots. If you're not hitting it good, pick it up and drop it up with with your fellow partners, or they're not really competitors because you're not in a tournament.
Right.
Yeah, you're just having fun. So don't feel like you have to hit every single shot. And same thing, even maybe you're having trouble out of the bunker, you can't get it out. Try it a couple times, not throw it out. You're not keeping score. It's not so don't feel intimidated that if you're not scoring with with your friends, that you don't want to be pressured to feel like you're holding them back or you're holding up the rest of the golf course. So that's a good question.
That could put some people's mind at ease.
Yeah.
I know that feeling. Like I've played in tournaments where, what is it called, where like you take the best ball and you
scramble. The typical tournament's a scramble. Yeah.
So that's always that relieves the pressure because you're like, well,
yeah,
I'll just hit. And
scrambles are great because you just take your best shot and you pick up and move to the next one. So
okay,
that's a great format to play. Is a scramble. But another format that actually my wife and I enjoy playing sometimes. And she plays a little bit, and she's actually a membership director at a club, but she doesn't have as much time to play. But sometimes we go out there and we play what's called an alternate shot, just to have fun. I'll hit, then she hits the ball, then I hit. So we're kind of doing it together, and it does, so it's kind of fun that way.
So it doesn't have to be all serious, especially in the beginning too, and you want to enjoy it, especially when you're learning, because it can put a bad taste in your mouth if it becomes so overwhelmingly serious. And I think it also matters who's around you and who's kind of supporting you when you're in that learning stage. So I don't have my own equipment. I don't have my own golf clubs. So typically when I want to go out and play golf, what am I looking for? What is a new golfer looking for? Should they buy right off the bat?
My first set of golf clubs, I picked them one at a time. Let's see, they were in a barrel. They were all used and they were all different. And it was like $2 a club or something like that. So you don't have to go out and buy a brand new set of clubs. A lot of the golf courses, especially if you're taking lessons, I mean, the golf pro might even have an old set of clubs they can just give you, or they can certainly provide them to you free of charge. If you're hitting just range balls, typically there's just some demo clubs laying around. But if you're going out on the golf course and actually playing, then you'd have to rent a set of clubs. Obviously, most facilities will have those available for you. So do expect to pay extra for clubs if you don't have any, if you're going to go play. But in general, I wouldn't purchase any clubs until you're going to really use them. A lot of people get excited. Hey, they buy a series of 6 or 8 lessons, and they buy all the new outfits and new shoes, get a whole new set of clubs. All of a sudden they get 3 lessons into it, life gets in the way, next thing you know it's been a year and the clubs are getting dusty.
Spend a lot of money.
So because there's a commitment to, and again, in anything that you're endeavoring into something new, there's a cost to that. So I would just take it slow, and as you realize, hey, I do have the time and I'll make the effort to do it, then you can start off with a basic set, not pay a lot, but just at least you have your own equipment, or get a set of used clubs. But as you develop and become a better player, that's really, you need to consider getting custom fit for clubs. And in reality, once you get started, it's actually better to get started with custom clubs to some degree than to start playing with something that's totally wrong for you, because then you start making compensating moves, and the bad habits are created by poor equipment. So you want to at least whatever you start playing with, make sure it's at least somewhat close to, you know, being fit to you. Yeah.
You know, I know talking about golf as a pastime, some people, you know, you are a professional in this industry. There's so many different ways that people can get involved in golf. I think that's the cool thing about learning the sport. And, you know, for me, as an adult, like, it isn't too late to start brushing up on my skills, because it is something that's very wide spanning. My husband's involved in nonprofit charity golf tournaments all the time, and there's just so much that golf can do for so many people.
Absolutely. I mean, not only is it, I mean, it's healthy to get outside and exercise, assuming that you're not always riding in the cart the whole time. But that's the fun part about it, you know. But no, it's, you know, just getting outside, swinging, exercising, even just walking from the cart to the ball. I mean, certainly helps. But yeah, if you can even have the opportunity to walk, it's even more beneficial for you. But you know, it's a great social game, and you know, I would recommend it to anyone. I mean, just take the time and effort, and you'll enjoy it and meet a lot of great people. So
yeah, I'm excited for my second lesson, and I'm excited to kind of see the transformation and what my experiences are going to be over the next couple months as I continue the golf game.
Very good. Well, I hope you continue watching the series as we expand some more questions as Gina learns a little bit more about the game, and we look forward to doing that. So I promise you, if you hang with us, you will learn some new stuff, even as a novice beginning golfer to an advanced golfer. So we're going to have fun, and you know, you'll hear some good stories and some funny stories, and we enjoy doing this for you. So we'll see you soon, and remember, go to gogolfarizona.com, and the magazine right here, Golf Arizona. Take a copy of that, or you can get it online there. So again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.